Welcome to a journey through time where we explore one of the most influential civilizations in history, ancient Rome. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Roman architecture, a field that transformed the built environment of the ancient world and still influences modern architecture today. From the iconic arches and columns to the vast concrete structures, Roman architecture was a true testament to innovation and mastery. Let's explore how they did it. Segment 1. The birth of Roman architecture. Roman architecture began with the need for practicality, building structures that provided shelter, safety, and comfort. Early on, the Romans borrowed heavily from the Greek and Etruscan styles, but they quickly expanded upon them, developing their own distinctive techniques. But the true game changer came when the Romans perfected the use of concrete. Before concrete, most civilizations relied on stone, wood, or mud to construct their buildings. Concrete, however, allowed for more complex and enduring designs. Roman concrete was made from a mix of volcanic ash, lime, and seawater, creating a substance that was incredibly strong and durable, even underwater. This innovation allowed the Romans to push the boundaries of architecture, enabling them to construct monumental structures that were both large in scale and intricate in design. Segment 2. The Roman Arch, a key to engineering success. One of the most revolutionary features of Roman architecture was the use of the arch. While arches had existed before the Romans, it was their widespread use and innovation that made them central to Roman engineering. The Romans perfected the arch, allowing them to build larger, stronger structures with fewer materials. The arch distributed weight more evenly, reducing the need for massive columns or thick walls. This design principle was used everywhere, from bridges to aqueducts to public baths. Take, for instance, the Pont du Gard in France, an ancient Roman aqueduct bridge that stands nearly 50 meters tall. This monumental structure was built using arches and has stood the test of time. The arch also became a common feature in Roman triumphal arches, like the famous Arch of Titus in Rome, which commemorated military victories. Segment 3. Vaults and domes elevating Roman engineering. The Romans didn't stop with arches. They took the arch one step further by creating vaults and domes. A vault is essentially an extended arch, creating a continuous ceiling or roof. The Romans perfected several types of vaults, including the barrel vault and the cross vault. These vaults allowed for vast, open interior spaces, making Roman buildings feel grand and airy. The most impressive use of the vault is in the construction of the Roman baths. These baths were not just places to get clean, they were monumental social centers. The baths of Caracalla, for example, could hold up to 1,600 people. The vast ceilings of these baths were supported by vaults, creating spaces that were both functional and awe-inspiring. One of the most iconic Roman innovations, however, was the dome. The dome allowed for an entirely open, unsupported ceiling, giving buildings a feeling of lightness and grandeur. The most famous example of Roman domes is the Pantheon, completed in 125 AD. The Pantheon's dome, with its central oculus, is still the world's largest unreinforced concrete dome, and it stood for nearly 2,000 years. The engineering of the Pantheon's dome is mind-boggling. To reduce the weight of the dome, the Romans used lighter materials as they built upward, such as pumice stone. The perfect symmetry and balance of the dome made it a masterpiece of engineering and design. Segment 4. The Roman aqueducts, a lifeline for the empire. If there's one thing the Romans excelled at, it was infrastructure, and nowhere is this more evident than in their aqueducts. Aqueducts were channels built to carry fresh water from distant sources into Roman cities, allowing the population to thrive with a steady water supply. These remarkable feats of engineering were a huge part of Roman success, as they provided water for drinking, public baths, fountains, and even sewage systems. The Romans constructed over 400 kilometers of aqueducts serving the city of Rome alone. These aqueducts were not just functional, but also beautifully designed. Many were built with arches to maintain a consistent gradient and ensure that the water flowed smoothly. The most famous Roman aqueduct is the Pont du Gard in France. Originally constructed in the 1st century AD, this aqueduct bridge is still standing and continues to awe visitors with its size and precision. What's even more impressive is that the Romans managed to build these aqueducts with such precision that the water flowed continuously, sometimes over long distances, purely through gravity. This remarkable feat required careful planning and knowledge of surveying, and it changed the way humans interacted with water forever. Segment 5, the Colosseum. A monument to Roman grandeur. No discussion of Roman architecture would be complete without mentioning the Colosseum. Perhaps the most iconic Roman building, the Colosseum was completed in 80 AD and could hold up to 50,000 spectators. It was used for gladiatorial contests, public spectacles, and even mock naval battles. But beyond the blood and drama, the Colosseum is a remarkable achievement in architecture and engineering. The Colosseum's design was based on the principles of Roman arches and vaults. The structure was built with a complex system of entrances and exits, allowing crowds to enter and exit quickly and safely. This efficiency in crowd management was a marvel of its time. The Colosseum also featured a retractable roof called the Velarium that provided shade for spectators on hot days. It was operated by sailors from the Roman Navy who used ropes and pulleys to unfurl the large awning. Inside, the Colosseum was equipped with a sophisticated system of elevators and trapdoors that allowed for dramatic entrances. Gladiators and animals could appear on the arena floor with startling speed, adding to the spectacle. Segment 6, Roman temples and the legacy of columns. Roman temples are another enduring symbol of Roman architecture. The Romans borrowed the basic temple design from the Greeks, but they made significant changes that suited their needs. The Roman temple was typically rectangular with a raised platform and a front porch supported by columns. Roman temples, such as the Temple of Portunus and the Pantheon, combined Greek stylistic elements with Roman engineering. Columns were used not just for decoration, but also as structural elements that supported the building's weight. The legacy of the Roman column lives on in modern architecture. The three classical orders, Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian, were perfected by the Romans and can still be seen in buildings all over the world, from government buildings to museums. Segment 7, the legacy of Roman architecture. The influence of Roman architecture cannot be overstated. The principles and innovations developed by the Romans shaped architecture for centuries to come. From the arches of medieval cathedrals to the columns of neoclassical government buildings, Roman architecture laid the foundation for much of the Western architectural tradition. Today, architects continue to study Roman techniques, using them as inspiration for modern design. The use of concrete, the principles of arches and vaults, and the creation of grand open spaces are all part of the lasting legacy of Roman architecture. So, the next time you pass by an archway, admire a column, or step into a grand building, take a moment to think about the Romans. Their architectural genius changed the world, and that influence still lives on, shaping the cities we live in today. Thank you for joining us on this fascinating exploration of Roman architecture.